Hello viewers, I am Francis Kabadumuya, and today I want to take you through a very interesting topic, which is project planning. And in project planning, there are a lot of other concepts we'll be treating. In fact, let me let you know that project management or project planning is something that is very unique towards any individual in the field of academic. I know you want to understand how to write project. I know you want to know the procedure, the mechanisms on how to actually write a better project, especially for those of you who are students wishing to become managers, others who want to become project consultants, others who are currently working in institutions but want to gain a wide range of knowledge in projects. Well, continue to stay with me until the end of this lecture, and not only for this lecture, but also for subsequent lectures, so that you continue to enjoy and understand and have a wide range of knowledge in project planning, project design, and project management. Well, if you have not subscribed to this channel, waste no time. Go again and click the subscribe button and continue to stay with me. Ladies and gentlemen, today I am going to lay a platform for better understanding, so that at least anytime I lecture on projects, you will not find it difficult. Today I'm going to lay the platform for better understanding, ladies and gentlemen. Well, however, as we progress, I want you to first understand that projects is something that is subdivided into various categories. For you to better understand how to write project, you must know that you must understand what we call project planning, because you first have to plan the project. And after that, you understand the design, how to now design the project. From there, you cannot design the project without understanding the project planning concept. And after you have understood the project planning concept, you now go to the project design. Lastly, project management, which is the ability of an individual to direct and to implement. As we progress, I am better going to break it down for better understanding. However, we are going to start treating the project planning to lay a better platform, so that as we progress, I will now begin to let you know how to design a project, how to actually write a project. From there, I will tell you how to manage it, what are the mechanisms, what are the parameters of management. Ladies and gentlemen, to tell you about project planning, we have to start with the definition of a project. What is a project? Well, most individuals have given a commonsensical knowledge, a commonsensical understanding. Most of us, when we say project in our everyday life, we have different definitions, different interpretations of what project really is. Well, today we are going to take an academic perspective. And as we take an academic perspective to understand the project plan, I'll give you a lot of definitions, and at the same time give you examples that will help you understand what really a project is. Now, let us look at this definition. According to PMBOK, that is the Project Management Body of Knowledge, 3rd edition, a project is defined as a temporary endeavor with a beginning and an end, and it must be used to create a unique product, service, or results. You know, when you look at this definition, it tells you that a project definitely will have to work. It has a beginning and an end, and definitely it is targeting to achieve a specific goal, ladies and gentlemen. However, as you progress, you know that it has an element. But let me look at my definition. The definition, after I've looked at various other definitions, this is what I come up with. Now, I define project as a set of planned activities with a definite cost tailored to achieve a desired outcome. It has a beginning and an end. Now, let me break it down. When you talk about project, what comes in your mind? Definitely, if you just write a project without a budget, without explaining the cost, without attaching a budget, it is what we call a project concept. As far as I'm concerned, it is not a proposal. It becomes a project proposal meant for funding by donors when you attach a budget. So definitely, we now say a project, of course, has a set of activities. Definitely, there must be activities that you have to undertake. And as you progress, you now see the different activities that are meant for project. Say, for example, I want to undertake an advocacy program with regards to COVID-19. What are the activities that I will undertake? Why will I go about it? You have to explain that, and even the cost. If you say, for example, you are going to use a radio program, you must have to budget how many times will be going to the radio, how many hours, how many cost, how much does it cost per hour. You calculate that one. So there must be a budget. Without that budget, that is not a project book. It is what we call a concept, just a concept, an idea. However, it must have activities. However, it must have a beginning and an end. No matter what happens, this is very important in project, because most of us tend to say, I am undertaking a project, but you do not even have a definite time. So definitely, a project is supposed to have a definite time frame. A time that is supposed to begin and a time it's supposed to end. Any individual who wishes to become a better project manager must be time conscious, must understand the parameters of time, and must know how to implement within time frame, etc. As we progress, I am going to unearth a better understanding in this area, ladies and gentlemen. Basically, we have 5 stages, or what people call phases, of a project. Now, whenever I explain project writing or project planning, I normally use key concepts to give an example so that individuals can understand. Mostly people think project is something that is difficult to carry out. Yes, of course, it can sometimes be misinterpreted to mean that way. But to me, if you understand, you know, you follow these lectures that I'm giving out, I'm sure that you have a wide range of knowledge which will make it easier for you to always be able to implement projects. Now, in a commonsensical thought, most of us will refer to project to mean different things. I always tell you that anything that can go through 5 stages that I'm coming to explain is considered as a project. The first stage of a project, whenever you want to write a project, think of it, the first stage is the initiation phase. After the initiation, you plan. After the planning, you execute or implement. After the implementation, you will need to monitor or evaluate. And later, you have a closure. Let me break it down. Even to prepare cassava leaf can be referred to as a project. Why? Because it has to go through the 5 stages. Preparing a cup of tea is a project. Why is it a project? Because it has to go through the 5 stages. Even approaching and dating a beautiful lady, to me, is a project. Why? Because it has to go through the 5 stages. Let me just give you a practical example here. In trying to prepare a cup of tea, you will not just wake up and say, tea. Maybe at night you'll be lying down and you remember, oh, this is the rainy season. I think I need to be preparing tea every morning. That is the idea. So the fact that the idea is there, that is the initiation process. And the project will never come into existence without that first stage, which is the idea, which is the initiation process that gives you the knowledge base, the background knowledge of what exactly to do. So you see, when that idea comes now, well, people will sit together, discuss, agree, disagree, approve or disapprove, try to see how best they can see how they will draft it. That is just a commonsensical explanation so that you can understand. So after the idea has come that I want to be preparing a cup of tea, then it now leads you to a point where you really need to know which type of tea do you want. Do you really like Ovaltine? Is it Nescafe? Or is it tea leaf that you need? Then it leads you to that point. So that leads you to the second stage, which is planning. And the planning now, you ask yourself these questions because you have got the idea, which is the initiation. You ask yourself now which type of tea you need, and automatically you buy those things that you need. So the planning stage is going to be very unique. It is a very important stage in the project proposal, in the project format. But as we progress, the third stage is going to be implementation, which is execution. Mostly, project managers fail because they do not implement according to their plan. Example again, cup of tea. If, for example, I want to prepare a cup of tea, I have got the idea and I have planned. Then actually, when I come to the third stage, which is the execution stage, it is what I have planned that definitely I am going to implement. I said I need a cup of tea. Will I have to boil a drum of water because I need to prepare a cup of tea? Do I need to take a gallon of water, put 2,000 liters sugar that I have budgeted for? No. So definitely, if you have bought just 1 packet of milk, 1 packet of sugar, etc., definitely the water must be commensurate. You see what I'm saying? Definitely you are going to implement based on your plan. Most project managers fail because they tend to implement what is not in their plan. They tend to implement more than what they plan, or they tend to read. And when you reduce or any attempts not to implement based on what you plan, you are going to fail. So if I have planned to prepare a cup of tea in the morning, and that is what actually I have budgeted and I bought those kind of things. In the implementation phase, I need to ensure that I have a cup, pour the water, put the amount of milk, the amount of sugar that I think is really commensurate towards my plan. Any mistake you are going to fail. The same thing with preparing the cassava leaf. Now, when you come to the fourth stage, which is the monitoring stage or the evaluation stage, it is a stage that tells you that you need to recheck. You need to really see whether what you are doing is correct or not. If it is not correct, what do? You have to change your strategies. You either add or reduce. For example, coming again to the point of preparing a cup of tea. I have got the initiation process, which is the idea. I have planned. I have implemented. But then I need to monitor to know whether the cup of tea, whether the salt, the sugar is enough or the milk is not enough. What do? I will have to mix. That is the monitoring stage. And have a taste to know whether the salt, the sugar is enough or the milk is not enough. As I evaluate or monitor what is going on in the project, what do? As I taste, I will know whether something is enough or not. If the sugar is not enough, what do? I add. And if the milk is not enough, I add, etc. And if the sugar is more than expected, what do? I will need to add more water to ensure that it is commensurate. So you have to evaluate well, you have to monitor without any monitoring state. I am just trying to break it in a commonsensical talk for better understanding. Now, the same thing is applied in projects. And at the close-up, this is very important, and most project managers do not want to understand this. At the close-up, you will need to now, you have drank the tea. You need to wash this cup well, the spoon well, and then keep it safely. And why do you need to do that? So that whenever you want to use this cup or spoon for the next project, definitely you will have access to it without constraints. For the closure, after you have implemented, you will need to call a meeting, have a good relationship with your staff, and at the same time write a report to the donors. A unique report, keep in touch with them, communicate with them well to ensure that you end well. And as you end well, anytime, if you have written a better report to them, anytime you want to implement another project or you write another project to those donors, they will always be happy to form. But if you end at the close-up, most of you when you finish drinking tea, you throw the cup. You don't need to wash it again. The next time you want to use it again, you begin to suffer, to clean it, etc. And that will even waste a lot of time. So the same thing goes again with projects. If, for example, at the close-up you misbehave, you have a problem with the donors, you have a problem with the staff, definitely the next time you want to implement similar projects, they may not form. Staff may not be able to work, employers may not be willing, etc. In essence, whenever I explain, I always use a cup of tea or cassava leaf or any other thing so far, because in doing that, you need to plan. In doing that, there is an idea. In doing that, you execute. And at the same time, it has a definite cost, because anything you do, there must be a cost, etc. So, having explained this commonsensical knowledge, let's come to the academic process. In academic process, there are still 5 stages, like I said. Now, stage number 1 is initiation, as I've explained. This is the start of the project, and the goal of this phase is to define the project at a broad level. This phase usually begins with a business case. This is when you research whether the project is visible and it should be undertaken. If visibility testing needs to be done, this is the stage of the project in which that will be completed. Now, it's very simple. Whenever you want to implement a project, the first thing is the initiation. There must be an idea. That idea needs to be evaluated to see whether it is visible or not. I'll come to that point. We have what we call project viability and project visibility. Most projects that we tend to write are not visible. They are not viable. They are not even profitable. They cannot bring anything good to us. They have nothing to get. And you have to look at the practicality and the reality of the project, whether it can bring anything better, whether it has anything to offer, whether it is really reliable and real before you write even the project. But I will come to that point as we progress. I just want to lay a platform for better understanding. Now, so the first stage is the initiation stage, which lays a platform for the idea, for people to discuss, to see whether the idea is good. You cannot just come, wake up one morning and say, I need to write a project because people are suffering from lack of water supply. Have you gone there? Have you really assessed that? Have you? Well, come there. Robert Chamber has something to say about it. The second phase is called the planning. Definitely, planning is very important. I've already said that from the previous example I gave. After the initiation, the second stage is going to be the planning. Planning, of course, that one is not a secret. You know, we say planning. It's like this phase is key to successful project management and focuses on developing a roadmap that everyone will follow. This phase typically begins with setting goals. You see that? It's very important. In the planning process, you have to ensure that you set goals. They can be short-term goals, they can be long-term goals, to ensure that you succeed. And these goals are the roadmaps. These goals are like the springboard that will enable you to succeed. For mostly when I lecture, I do say, whenever you are setting up your plans, think of two key principles. The SMART principle or that of the CLEAR principle. You use one of them and you succeed. I get it. Or you can even take into account the two and you will still succeed. Now, let's look at the SMART principle of planning. It says SMART goals. This method helps ensure that the goals have been thoroughly vetted. It also provides a way to clearly understand the implications of the goal setting process. Whenever you are setting specific goals, it is just important that you take into account the SMART principle. What does the SMART say? It says you need specific. You see that the S is specific. And when we talk about specific, it means specific objectives, specific goals. To set specific goals, answer the following questions. You see that? This is what I call the 5 W's and the 1 H. You cannot set specific objectives without taking into account the following. Ask yourself, who? See that? Who? That means who is this project meant for? Is it for the blind? Is it for the deprived? Is it for the project must have a specific category of people that it is targeting. Ask yourself, who? Who really is this project targeting? Targeted group. You see that? After you have got the targeted group, the who, you have answered that question. Ask yourself, what? What are we going to do? What kind of activities are we going to use to really ensure that we succeed in this project? What and what will you be undertaking to ensure that we succeed in this project? After you've answered what? Where? You need to think of the location. Where is this project going to be implemented? And if people wake up one morning in an organization and they think they can just write project. Listen, project is not meant for dummies. It is not meant for individuals who cannot think ahead of. It is meant for individuals who can think ahead of time, who are rational. And one thing I observe is that everybody can just wake up and say, I'm a project manager, I can write a project. No! You have to be trained. You have to understand. You have to really know the mechanisms. You have to get some of these concepts I'm explaining. Ask yourself, who? Who are these projects meant for? Answer that question. Try to have a targeted group. Ask yourself, what? What are we going to be doing? What will we be doing? What kind of activities? Ask yourself, where? Where with the location? It talks about the location. There must be a specific location where the project is implemented. Is it a macro project that targets the entire country? Is it meant for a specific community? What is the name of the community? What are the targeted beneficiaries? You see that? You need to think of all some of those things before you even write the project. Ask yourself, beside these questions, you also have to ask yourself, when? See, that is talking about the time. When is this project starting? And when are we expecting it to end? What is the amount or the time frame? Is it a 6-month project? Is it a 1-year project? Is it a 2-year project? What is the project that is actually commensurate to this? Like, you have to think of all these things. But when you go to the budget aspect of the project, when you go to the project design aspect, then I will let you understand how to really build. This is just a platform. Now, ask yourself, which strategy are we going to use? And why are we implementing this project? Because you cannot just implement a project. Project managers, NGOs, institutions, business organizations implement a project to solve a problem affecting individuals in society, specifically the vulnerable. See that? And if your project is not targeting that, then there is a problem. You need to ensure that the project you are solving, the project you are about to implement, has a specific targeted, it has a specific population that it is targeting to help. Is it that people are poor in a specific community that you want to eradicate poverty? Is it that people are really suffering from water supply and you need to construct water well? Is it that you need to, but we are coming there as we progress. So the SMART principle is very important, and that is specific. Before your objectives are specific, think of answering some of those questions. And after that, that is for the S. The N is saying you need measurable. You see that? Measurable objectives as well. What are we talking about? To create criteria that you can use to measure the success of a goal. You must know whether the goals you are using are specific. Because some of us just implement a project without having measurable objectives. Let me make it clear. There is always the difference between an aim and objectives. The aim can be the overall goal, but there are objectives that you need to build in your project that will be there to help you target your goals. But I don't want to mix matters. You will understand as I progress to analyze. We also need attainable objectives. Don't implement a project that you know is impossible. You know, like somebody told me the last time, he needs to implement, he want to write a project, he wants me to help him write a project for his organization, and the project was like targeting his village for the installation of electricity. That is to say, this solar lights. And I asked him for the name of the village. He called. The first thing that came into my mind, are the people ready to really embrace this particular project? The question is, the village that I know that he just called is a village that people do not like lights. And in fact, I never wanted to tell him, but most of the people in that village have been accused of witchcraft one way or the other. And again, come to think of it, somebody in Africa who is suspected of witchcraft, a village that is dominated by those kind of things, do not like light at night. Who is going to implement? Will these people be ready to accept? Will they even appreciate that? So I was like looking at it. The other time, another guy came. Yes, sir, I want you to help me. You know, and he needs the installation of a computer lab project where he will be actually helping people to learn computer in his village. In fact, the first thing I think of was, is there electricity? So you begin to look at how impossible it is to succeed. I will not write this kind of project. So you have to look at it that way and see whether it is realistic and see whether it can succeed. How can somebody also come to write a project of a water well and it costs 70 million? Is it real? So all of those things need to come into your mind as you explain. Again, we look at what? The time bound. Is it timely? What is the time frame? Those things you have to think of it in the SMART principle of planning. Again, we have the CLEAR principle. And the CLEAR is going to be very brief. It looks at what? The C is talking about collaborative, which means the goals will encourage employees. That means you have to work with those employees. Mind you, a project is not implemented by one person. So a CLEAR principle is saying that you need your objectives, your specific, your project needs to be collaborative. Which is to say, your plan, you have to ensure that you involve others. You must be democratic in nature. Let them have their opinions inputted, and let at least everything work as planned. Again, after that, limited. They should be limited in scope and time to tell them, now we have this project to work. This is the beginning, and this is the time we are expected to end it. Tell them the time frame. That is what the limited. Emotional. Goals should tap into the passion of employees. The project you are implementing, they must be embraced. They must love it. The employees must love it, and they must be willing to participate. You know, appreciable. Break ladder, like I spoke about measurable objectives. At least your aims need to be broken down into simpler objectives that can easily be achievable. Etc. So a lot of these things need to be done in your plan. Now we go. After that, after you have planned, and ensure that please the plans that you use, that you apply, must be commensurate to the kind of project. You cannot say you need to sensitize people about coronavirus, and then your plans, you are planning to let's say install a computer lab. What does a computer lab have to do with this coronavirus? My mother in the village can still operate the computer. And most projects, if you are targeting the entire country of sensitization, begin to ask yourself, my mother in the village, does she really have a radio or a TV? You need to think of strategies that can reach them, etc. Now we have the third phase, which is the execution. Like I spoke about the cup of tea, wherein you are going to make the tea, base the water commensurate to the plants. You don't need to boil 1 gallon of water because you need 1 cup of tea. So in your execution, you ensure that all the plans, all the programs, all the steps that you have planned are coming into action. This is the area that is going to ensure that you succeed. And that is why we say that this is the phase where deliverables are developed and completed. This often feels like the meat of the project, since a lot is happening during this time. Like now you have to ensure that a lot of implementation is going on. You have to be there. Some people implement their project in the village and they are in the city. That does not work. And after that, we have the fourth phase, which is project performance or monitoring. For project to perform, you have to be there. You have to monitor. That is why I gave a critical example. With, for example, you have prepared a tea. You need to mix that tea and taste to see whether it is there. So you must be there to check whether the indicators that will make it succeed have been done. Whether you are really going to succeed. If what you want or the result you want is not being achieved as the implementation is ongoing, you need to ensure that you change your strategies a lot. But as we progress, that will be better than crest. Now, the last stage, which is the closure, I told you just now that in the closure, cup of tea again as an example, you have to wash that cup, keep it safely to ensure that the next time you want to use it, it is okay. So in the closure, what are we going to do here? It's like this phase represents a completed project. You see that it has been completed. Contractors hired to work specifically on the project are terminated at this time. Valuable team members are recognized. Some project managers even organize small work events for people who participated in the project to thank them for their efforts. See that? Sometimes you can organize a program, thank them for their effort to helping you implement. That is how you end the project. Don't just, some people, immediately the project wants to end, they will begin to fight their employees so that they will not pay. Others will not write a better report to the donors, and that is going to be a problem. So you have to think about it, and so that you end well, because that determines your next project. And mostly, what people do not understand, anytime you write project, the donors will always ask you in your project to specify how many projects you have done, what is your project experience, how does it end. In fact, they will even ask sometimes for recommendations from projects you have done before. So if you are ending badly, definitely the tendency for you to succeed will not be there. You need to think of that. Again. Now, let me take you briefly to the types of projects. Basically, there are different types of projects. But for this study, I am going to limit you to few. Now, why do we need to discuss type of project? Some people, because I am lecturing in projects now, they will think that they know how to write all sorts of projects. You need to know that if, for example, a vacancy is published in a newspaper asking for a project, look for the type of project manager that they need. Maybe they will ask you to apply for the position of project manager, and you are not even fit in that position. Why? Because the specialization is there. That is why we have different type of projects. We have a lot of qualifications in this particular discipline. So don't be a sociologist or a social worker or a political scientist and then say outside, publish a particular vacancy on project manager and you think you can apply. When you have not studied industrial project management, you may not succeed. So you see, so the first category of project we're going to deal with at this point is called industrial or engineering project. Industrial or engineering project. I will not read, I'll just go briefly. When we talk about industrial project, it is mostly dealing with what we call raw materials. Raw materials, for example, those doing extractions. For example, say outside, the African mineral, the London mining, they are dealing with raw material, the extraction of raw materials. And they are basically engineering projects. And in doing those projects, you may need engineering background. You may need technical terminologies. You may need expertise in the specific extraction industry. So if, for example, you're a social worker, even if you have a PhD in the project, the tendency for you to fit there is something that is clean because of the technicalities of the project. So that is why it is basically meant for engineers. So don't be studying projects that are at management level. And you think, well, even though in Africa, you can even have a diploma and they will hire you because of connectivity, but that is not supposed to work anyway. Industrial project managers are specific qualifications, where an individual has an engineering background and is well trained in the area of those projects. Again, we have what we call manufacturing. Now, the manufacturing project manager, they transform raw materials into finished products. For example, brewery. You know, we have a lot of manufacturing industries. Now, if, for example, you see a vacancy that brewery need a project manager, you need to ask yourself, are you really competent in that area? Are you a manufacturer? Do you have background in manufacturing these particular raw materials into finished goods that people now bring it as alcohol? Are you capable? Do you have the idea? So that is another specialization. And one thing you need to know, an industrial project manager may not be able to work in the capacity as a manufacturing project manager. And even I'm not discouraging you, I'm just telling you the reality of the situation. By reality, there are specializations in this areas, and we must be able to specialize in any of these. So in industrial, of course, they extract. And companies like Toyota who are making vehicles definitely are manufacturing industries. And definitely they manufacture raw materials that are not manufactured into finished products, making vehicles. Brewery, for example, etc. A lot of other companies that. So if they need project managers, you must think of the specializations. Another category of projects can be that of another type of project can be that of management project. Management project is very important because that is where most of us fall. This project has to do with the process of coordination, directing, staffing. In fact, in most cases, it derives from maybe advocacy. It has to do with humanitarian interventions. It has to do with a lot of social aspects, mobilization, implementation. So whenever, for example, Corona is here, and we need to advocate, that can fall within the scope of management project. Any institution, any business can implement this because as long as they have the expertise in the area of management, they have the staff that are knowledgeable. But again, project, like I said, has a specific time and has a lot of parameters to deal with. So most of us can fall within the scope of management project. Not only management project, but even the last category of project called research projects. A research project is done to either solve a problem or to prevent a problem from happening. You see that? For example, we suspected that in the next 5 years an earthquake is going to happen, or let's say flooding is going to happen, or let's say a mudslide is going to happen. Our project now is to ensure that we bring an everlasting solution proactively to prevent the problem. We can embark on research. We can actually, so and when a research is done, it is a research project. All of us can fit there. But as we progress, I am going to take my time to break it down for better understanding. Stay tuned. Now, ladies and gentlemen, these are just some of the types of projects that I've dealt with. We have industrial projects or engineering projects, manufacturing projects, management projects, and research projects. So these are all different specializations. But as we progress, let us don't be claiming I'm a project manager. No, you cannot write all sorts of projects. There are specializations in these areas, and we must understand. Ladies and gentlemen, as we progress now, we'll take it to the categorization of projects. However, to better lay a platform, we need to know that projects are categorized into different phases, into different concepts, where people have different names. Project lecturers or any individual scholars can call it different names. But I believe that to categorize projects in my own concept, so that just for you to understand, I have 3, which are green projects, brown projects, and that of what? Complementary projects. Let me break it down. Today I told you I'm going to give you a knowledge based on projects. Now when we talk about green projects, these may be new ideas that have, in fact, mostly I refer to them as virgin projects. Wherein they have not been implemented before. The idea is new, maybe it comes from you. You are going to facilitate how it is going to come to reality. For example, the establishment of Microsoft by Bill Gates was a green project. It was not done by any individual, but rather he brought the idea and actually ensured that it comes into reality. If an individual sits and thinks of an idea that is new, that most people have not done, or maybe has not even been implemented before, definitely, if you write a project, as long as it is new, as long as it is unique, and it is in reality, definitely, that project can be referred to as a green project because of the nature of this project. So you see, so one thing that gives more money in projects is that of green. People need to, that it has to involve a high level of inspiration, a high level of technicality, a high level of innovation and creativity. And when that is done, individual can bring new projects every day, and that can be done. So you see, another project that mostly people do, in fact this is the most common one, brown projects. Brown projects are there. They are projects that are not new. Just that individuals may use project ideas that have existed, they will rebrand it to theirs and tailor it within the content or the scope of their objectives and goals. For example, most of us writing about humanitarian interventions, about psychosocial support, writing about, they have existed before. In fact, what some people do, they will just go, collect a project that has been written by somebody else, change the name of the person, tailor it within their scope, and then submit. That one is bad. But as we progress, I'm going to break better understanding. I'm going to break it to better understanding. One thing you need to know is that for brown projects, they are unique, but it's mostly the duplications. It has to do with a lot of, because the idea that have existed before. Another type of project is that another category of projects can be complementary project. When I talk about complementary projects, sometimes people tend to be confused. This is an area where most project managers tend to have problems because they do not have the expertise and the knowledge to write this kind of project. Certain projects are combined in nature. They can be 2 or 3 in one project. And when projects are combined, That is to say, one project leads to the other. That is to say, the one project can only succeed when you have implemented one. So definitely, that project can be complementary. I think I need to give you a clear example for understanding. Let me say, I am writing an agricultural project that has to do with the construction of a farmland in Kambia district. But then the land that has been given to me for the construction, for the farm, definitely is unique, is nice. That is where I want. But before you go to that point, there is a bridge you are going to pass. I'm just giving an example. And the bridge there's a stream you are going to pass. And that stream is the only route to that particular farmland. So definitely, if I do not construct a bridge in that stream that will link to my farmland, I will not be able to actually succeed in this farm. I'm just giving you an example. So what do I need to do? In my budget, I will ensure that I include the cost for the bridge. Because it is the bridge, the construction of the bridge, that will link me to what? To the farm. And if I fail to include, that is why project managers fail. Because what they do, they only focus on the farmland and they budget for the farmland, and automatically at the end of the day, they will not begin to use the money that is meant for the construction of the farm than for the bridge. And at the end of the day, the project will run out a lot. You will fail because of poor management, poor planning, etc. So you need to plan for the construction of the bridge. The bridge links to the farm, etc. And that is what we refer to as a complementary project. So a lot of these things, a lot of these techniques will be unfolded as we progress in our studies. What am I saying here? We need to understand, before even writing a project, which category of project is this? Which type of project? Is it an industrial project? Is it a manufacturing project? Is it a management project? Is it a research project? Which category does it fall? Is it a green project? Is it a complementary project? Is it a brown project? We need to understand some of this technicality before we move on. Because these are the only equipment, they're the only tools that will give us the background knowledge on how to start. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, understanding some of these will help you a lot. I know I have laid a platform. As we progress in our next lecture, we are going to understand what are the parameters to success. What are the problems that are affecting the failures that are causing the failures of projects. We're going to look at a lot of concepts, continue to lay a platform. Mind you, we are not going to the design. I want to lay a platform for better understanding so that my viewers will continue to know, will continue to learn about this project thing until we reach a point where all of you will understand on how to write projects without going to the classroom. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you enjoyed this lecture. Wow. If you enjoyed this lecture, waste no time. Click the subscribe button, or you can go to my YouTube channel and search for Francis K. Dumbuya and subscribe so that you continue to enjoy this particular lecture and subsequent more to come. Thank you, and God bless you.